Have you ever looked at a cartoon character and wondered what's going to happen to them years down the line? We have. It's always good to have a think about how your favorite characters are going to end up. How have they matured? What have they done? And also, what do they look like? Be sure to stay watching until the end to see how we think a modern-day Disney princess will turn out. If this is your first time visiting The Things, make sure you subscribe and give this video a like. Today we're going to take a look at 10 kids cartoon characters reimagined as adults. Boo from Monsters, Inc. One of our favorite Pixar films is the hilarious Monsters, Inc. The tales of Sully, Mike, and Boo made us laugh when we were youngsters, and they make us laugh now. And it's not just us, because it's one of the most financially successful animated films ever. We really like Boo. She's the little girl who won't be frightened, no matter how hard Sully and Mike try to scare her. This got us thinking about what Boo would look like when she grew up. Here's what we think she looks like. As you can see, she's still got her hair in bunches, and she's still got those trademark big brown eyes. We reckon that she will have grown up to be a big, strong, and confident sort of woman. After all, if Mike and Sully weren't able to scare her, we don't think there's pretty much anything that could have. Here's an interesting thing about Boo. It turns out her real name is Mary. When it was time to write the book based on the film, the author named her after her voice actress, Mary Gibbs. And here's another crazy theory. She's actually the same person as Violet from The Incredibles. Some people look to their similar appearances and the fact that they're more powerful when they're happy. But as much as we'd like to believe that, we think they're totally different people.
Hey guys, we are so excited to announce we are producing our own original content. Head over to The Trendy for the best DIYs, fashion tips, makeup hacks, and so much more. We are sure you're going to love it. And be sure to let us know what you think in the comment section. We love to hear from you. See you there.
Agnes from the Despicable Me movies. Perhaps one of the most unlikely success stories to have come out of the world of cinema in the 21st century is the Despicable Me franchise. Just think about it for a moment. The studio behind it, Illumination Entertainment, had never even made a movie before the 2010 film hit cinemas. But the tales of Gru, his adopted daughters Margot, Edith, and Agnes, not to mention the Minions, have wormed their way into the hearts of moviegoers across the globe. We are big fans of all the characters, but today we're going to talk about the youngest of the three sisters who were adopted by Gru and Lucy at the end of the first film. That's right, it's Agnes. She's the little girl who was the only one of the three who was totally excited about becoming Gru's adopted daughter. She's the one who is absolutely obsessed with unicorns and feels like she's going to die of happiness and excitement when she wins a fluffy toy. When she's older, we think that she's going to be like this. She'll still wear something not unlike the clothes she wore when she was at Miss Hattie's, alongside Margot and Edith, a yellow top with denim trousers. And we really, really hope that she's going to keep her love of unicorns, and Kyle, the dog, of course. Dora the Explorer. Millions of people across the globe spent the 2000s enchanted by Dora the Explorer. This Nickelodeon cartoon told the story of a young Mexican-American girl, her pet monkey Boots, and her magical talking backpack. If you aren't a native Spanish speaker, but you know some of the language, there's a good chance that you'll have learned your first words in it through the program. But it wasn't just Spanish that the show taught. No, there was also math, logic puzzles, and spelling. And who can forget her nemesis, Swiper the thieving fox? Can you remember what Dora had to say to stop Swiper stealing stuff? It was Swiper, no swiping, and she had to say it 3 times. Coupled with that catchphrase and the insanely catchy theme song, it's no wonder that Dora the Explorer, which ran for 8 seasons, is still shown today and has been acclaimed as one of children's television's most iconic programs ever. But what do you think will happen to Dora Marquez when she grows up? Well, this is what we think she's going to look like. You can see that she's got her bobbed haircut and her pink top, and best of all, the backpack is still with her. The question now remains, where in the world is Dora going to end up now she's an adult? And will she still have to tell Swiper to stop swiping? Lenny Loud from The Loud House. One of the most popular Nickelodeon shows that the channel has ever put out is The Loud House. The story of Lincoln Loud and his 10 sisters, Lily, Lisa, Lola, Lana, Lucy, Lynn, Luann, Luna, Lori, and Lenny Loud has been a worldwide smash hit. With so many different characters, it can be kind of hard to pick a favorite. To be honest with you, our favorite changes pretty much every day. However, if you were to ask us right now, we'd say that the Loud House character we like best is Lenny. She's the 16-year-old who is the real style queen of the Loud family. She's also smart, funny, and caring. She's usually able to cope with the challenges of like being a teenager who is part of a big family. Having said that, she's known to annoy the rest of her family by using the word like a lot. The only thing is, she honestly doesn't use it all that much. Like, we know, weird, right? But anyway, we're sure that you're wondering what Lenny is going to end up like when she's an adult. Well, here she is. She's still cool looking, and you can see that she has definitely maintained her totally on-point fashion sense, wearing her shades on her head and her trademark green dress. Let's hope that she can develop the smarts to match her big heart. Calvin and Hobbes. One tradition that isn't quite as big these days as it used to be is that of the daily newspaper comic strip. These 3 or 4 panel cartoons were, for a great many people, a highlight of their day. If the news was particularly grim, it was something that could raise a smile through some tough times. When you think about them, there are 3 that have stood out. There's Charles Schultz's Peanuts, there's Jim Davis's Garfield, and there's Bill Watterson's Calvin and Hobbes. Although it's still being run in print today, the original strip didn't run for all that long, just 10 years between 1985 and 1995. But despite that, millions of people across the world were amused by the antics of the mischievous Calvin and his sarcastic toy tiger, Hobbes. Of course, Hobbes wasn't just a stuffed toy as far as Calvin was concerned. He was a real, living, speaking being. The last time we saw the two, they were in a sledge, with Calvin telling his friend, "Let's go exploring." But we, just like everyone else who was enchanted by the comic strip, wondered what happened afterwards. Here's one idea. Can you see? Calvin has matured into a rather stylish young man with his red top and black chinos. He's still got his spiky hair, but Hobbes is even better. He's a very noble-looking tiger now. Masha from Masha and the Bear. Most of the cartoon characters that we'll be looking at today were created in the United States. That's not a huge surprise. America is the center of the Western entertainment business, so it makes sense that that's where a lot of our characters are going to have originated from. However, this next one is a bit different. It's Masha from Masha and the Bear. This show is Russian, and proudly so. It's based, albeit somewhat loosely, on an old Russian fairy tale, but the show has become a massive worldwide success story. One of its episodes, Recipe for Disaster, is the most watched video on YouTube that isn't a music video. As of October 2017, it had generated 2.5 billion views. That's pretty awe-inspiring, really. Oh, and here's another fun fact. Masha's voice in the English language version is done by young American actress Elsie Fisher. If the name and the voice seem to be a little bit familiar to you, that's because you may well have heard her before. Her other famous credit is Agnes from the Despicable Me movies. But anyway, what do we think is going to happen when Masha is a bit older? Here she is. As you can see, she still has her headscarf and her purple smock. But we would like to know where the bear is. Hopefully he's still around. Raven from Teen Titans. One of our favorite things is when someone takes a great comic book that we love and turns it into an amazing cartoon. There have been a lot of examples of this over the years, but one of our favorites has got to be Teen Titans. This show was originally a series of comics way back in the early 1980s, but more than 20 years after they first appeared in print, a smart commissioning editor at the Cartoon Network decided to bring them onto the small screen. And that was how the characters not only got a brand new lease of life, but also got introduced to a whole new generation of fans. One of the Titans that we like the most is Raven. She's the half-demon, half-Azarithian girl who has a dark side to her, but is always ready, willing, and able to control machines with her psionic abilities. Now, we wondered what she'd look like if she were to change her appearance. No, not into her demon form. That's something that never really goes as well as it could. But what she'd look like as a 20-something Titan. As you can see, she's still the Raven we all know and love. She hasn't changed her costume. Dark blue and purple are her favorite colors after all. But there is one big difference. Yes, that's it. Raven is smiling. Rick and Morty. At TheThings, we reckon that if you were to ask 100 people who were born in the 1990s for their favorite cartoon show, the vast majority of them would say Rick and Morty. This Cartoon Network show has become quite the go-to place for millennials to get both their laughs and their catchphrases. If you look on social media, the show's titular characters are absolutely everywhere. People can't get enough of the alcoholic scientist Rick Sanchez and his put-upon and gullible grandson, Morty Smith. Did you know that the show's co-creator, Justin Roiland, voices both of the two main characters? Oh, and if you've always thought that they look a little bit like Doc Brown and Marty McFly from the Back to the Future films, you'd be onto something. The characters were originally a parody of Doc and Marty. With a lot of the cartoon characters we'll be looking at today, we've had to make them older. Now, we've done that with Morty, but what we've done with Rick is that we've made him a little bit younger. So it's like the two are brothers, rather than being grandfather and grandson. You can see that Morty seems to have got a bit of Rick's devil-may-care swagger to him. He's even had his ear pierced. Meanwhile, Rick looks really rather dashing, but his gray hair is now brown and he looks ready to raise some hell. Stewie Griffin from Family Guy. When Family Guy first premiered on the Fox network in 1999, people went crazy. They had never seen anything quite like it. Now, Seth MacFarlane's fast-paced, wisecracking saga of the Griffin family and their lives in Quahog, Rhode Island, are firmly part of popular culture. The show's characters and catchphrases are familiar to people who have never even watched the program. Now, one of the most popular, and certainly one of the most interesting, we think, is Stewie Griffin. He's the little baby with the upper-class British accent. In the early seasons, he had some strong homicidal tendencies and wanted to get rid of his mother, Lois. Fortunately for everybody concerned, this calmed down as the show progressed. More recently, he has been just as outrageous and twice as flamboyant, and he doesn't want to kill anyone. One of the many interesting things about Stewie is that he turned 1 year old in the first series, but since then, he hasn't aged at all. So we thought about what would happen to Stewie if he aged a lot. How would he be if he were a man in his late middle age? Here you are. What do you think? You can see that he evidently grew his hair, only to lose most of it again. He's still kitted out in his dungarees, has a stubbly kind of mustache, and he's smoking a cigar. How lovably sleazy. Moana. We all enjoyed the 2016 smash hit movie Moana. Disney's tale of a Polynesian princess who travels the seas and saves her island from a blight was yet another success from the legendary animation studio. In the title character, we find a new, exciting addition to the pantheon of Disney princesses. Are you ready to see what she looks like as an adult? Here you go. As you can see, she hasn't changed that much. She's a young woman rather than a girl, but she still looks as brave and fearless as she did on the big screen. Moana was a great film that opened up many minds, young and not so young, to different worlds and cultures. What was so awesome is that many of the movie's voice cast were of either Hawaiian, Maori, or Polynesian descent. Let's look at Moana's Auli'i Cravalho. She's a native Hawaiian. She was just 14 when the film was cast, 2 years younger than her character is when we meet her. There's also Dwayne Johnson. The former WWE champion is of Samoan origin and has been known to watch the country's rugby union team. He's even admitted that rugby is the hardest physical challenge he's ever competed in. And that's got us all thinking, what's the toughest physical challenge you've ever taken part in? Let us know in the comments. And that's all for our 10 kids cartoon characters reimagined as adults. We hope you liked it. If you did, why not check out our 5 cartoon reboots that are way better than the original? Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe.